The t-shirt has become the standard for casual dress over the past 60 years due to its lightweight feel and durability, as well as its low cost of production. It has also become a means for self-expression, as t-shirts can be purchased or customized with an endless variety of logos, expressions, and art. The first t-shirts were introduced in the early 1900s by the United States Navy and were intended to be worn as undergarments. Eventually, it became common for sailors to remove their uniform top while off-duty, thus beginning the t-shirt's association with casual attire. Let's take a look at the many steps necessary to turn a t-shirt from an article of clothing to a canvas using screen printing. The client contacts SilkyScreens with a t-shirt order along with an idea for a design. The design is discussed thoroughly to clarify and specify ideas. The number of colors needed for the design is agreed upon early in the ordering process. This is because each color in the design will need its own screen. It also determines how the designer builds the print file and also the price per shirt. Once the basic idea is agreed upon, the designer gets to work. Using digital illustration software, the designer creates the image, filling it in with the previously agreed upon number of colors. A proof is created and emailed to the client for approval. Here, the client can request changes to the design or correct any errors. Once the shirts are received, the design is printed onto multiple transparencies, one for each ink color. Each transparency includes all the parts of the design that use a single color. The transparencies are hung up on a bulletin board to dry while waiting in the printing queue. The image now needs to be transferred onto a screen. A screen is a frame made of either wood or metal with a finely woven polyester mesh stretched over it. When under tension, ink can pass through the openings of the mesh and onto the shirt. An emulsion made of light-sensitive photopolymer is spread onto the screen. Once dry, this layer prevents ink from passing through the mesh. Now the design needs to be etched into the emulsion. The screen is loaded onto an exposure unit with a transparency placed on top of it. A worker switches on the machine using a bright, high-wattage light onto both the transparency and screen for 2 minutes. The light fixes the emulsion in place through the clear areas of the transparency, making it waterproof. A worker then rinses the screen out with water. This step washes away the unexposed emulsion caused by the transparency's shadow, leaving blank areas for the ink to be pressed through. This process is completed for each transparency so that every color has its own screen. A worker then holds the screen up to a light to look for any unwanted holes in the emulsion caused by lint or dust. If some imperfections are spotted, the worker uses a tool to cover up the areas with extra emulsion. Inside the screen, the sides are taped to prevent ink from passing through the edges where emulsion did not reach. A worker loads the screens into the machine in the order that the inks will be pressed onto the shirt. Using a spatula, a worker spreads a thick line of ink across each of the screens, making sure the consistency of the ink is even. The right amount of ink is key to achieving good coverage on the shirt. Using an automated press, a worker can program the arms to push ink through the screen using a flood bar and a squeegee. It's important to put on some high-energy tunes for this part, as it might take a while depending on the order's size. Speed and pressure can be regulated along with the number of passes. Shirts may go around once or multiple times to allow the ink to print twice. This makes the design look brighter and bolder on darker garments. Once the ink is on the shirt, it needs to be dried. The worker removes the shirt from the press and puts it directly onto a conveyor belt dryer. A heater dries the plastisol ink to a temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit, permanently bonding the ink into the shirt. As the shirts exit the dryer, another worker stacks the shirts by size and folds them. The shirts are finally placed into boxes and are ready for pickup. A SilkyScreens employee calls or emails the client to let them know that their order is ready. And don't forget to put that ink back in its proper place.